Hi, Hillary.
Hey,
How are you today?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, it's good to see you.
thank you. It's
Yeah.
good to be here. I've been looking forward to coming in and talking with you.
Good. Good. Well, before we get into our conversation, I just wanted to kind of give you a snapshot into kind of our first couple of sessions together as I get to know you and ways that I can be helpful. I am going to ask if it's okay if I take some notes just so I can really, get into some details with you and we can look at the problem together.
Yeah,
And would that be okay with you?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So, and you're welcome to look at these at any time if you'd like to see what I'm writing. So,
Okay.
totally up to you. But maybe give me a little bit about yourself and if there's something going on that maybe I can be helpful with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just started school again. I am a mom. I have 4 kids, and I went to college years and years ago, and recently got divorced, and I just want to make some more money and
Sure.
actually pursue some things I've always been interested in. So I'm in school to become a teacher.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So it sounds like some transition, but towards things that you feel connected to, towards a new career, or
Right.
had you, what had you been doing before? So had you been working or at home with your kids?
No,
or?
just at home with my
Yeah.
kids and
Great.
on the PTA.
Great.
A couple different schools, elementary school and the middle school for my kids, and I'm pretty involved in the PTA.
Great. So, how's that been going then, the transition to school? And you mentioned a recent divorce, and I'm sorry about that.
Well, thank
How's
you.
that all kind of been coming together for you?
Well, that's kind of why I'm here. Is I just feel overwhelmed, and I've been having some panic attacks,
Okay.
some anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm excited, but at the same time really scared about
Sure.
all the changes.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I'm being the best mom I can be for my kids, and they're going through a hard time as well. And it just feels like a lot.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. It sounds like a mixture of emotions. Of excitement and maybe some overwhelm.
Right.
And it sounds like you care deeply about your kids' experience, but also you and your passions and what you're working towards. It sounds like it's important to you.
It is. It's something I've just put on the back burner when I got married. I mean, that wasn't the original plan. It just kind of happened that way. Started having kids, and someone needed to stay home with the kids.
Sure.
And, just less expensive than putting them all in daycare.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I've always wanted to be an elementary school teacher, and so I'm glad I'm finally doing it. But it's definitely, like you said, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Sure.
So talk to me a little bit about, you mentioned some panic attacks and other things that may have been coming along with all the change. Tell me a little bit about that and your experience.
Yeah, well, that's been really, really frightening. And that's, I would say, the main reason I'm here is those have really scared me. So it's been, when they've come on, it's been like really randomly.
Yeah.
Just unexpected, and I guess that's why it's scary, because I feel like I don't have control.
Sure.
This feeling of being out of control. So I was just at a traffic stop the other day, just at a red light, waiting for traffic. It was raining really hard, but all of a sudden it just felt like everything was closing in on me, and my heart started racing really fast, and I was sweating, and I really thought, my gosh, am I having a heart attack? And then I realized later it was a panic attack.
Sure.
And it's happened one other time too since then. It was about a week later.
Yeah.
So it wasn't when I was driving by. I was at the grocery store and just kind of doing my thing in the produce section, and same thing. I just felt like closing in, out of control.
Yeah. So it sounds like, and make sure I'm getting this right, there isn't a variable that seems to be linking these panic attacks necessarily. So in terms of a triggering event or emotion, they seem to kind of come in normative times of the day.
Right.
Okay.
Which that I think is what scares me the most.
Sure.
Is not knowing when the next one's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And, it just, what if it does escalate to me having a heart attack? And then, what about my kids? And,
this feeling of lack of control.
Yeah.
So, and let me just make sure these started after school started, and it's a new occurrence for you, or had you ever had a panic attack in the past before?
I used to struggle with some anxiety in my when I was in college. Actually, I mean, this was years ago. Not ever a panic attack though, but I had some anxiety when I get overwhelmed or stressed out.
Sure. So I'm hearing the word overwhelmed from in college, and the anxiety to now. There's this sense of lack of control and of overwhelm. So these are kind of things that are showing up a little bit in both of these cases. Do you identify with both of those as maybe resonating with the problem?
Definitely. Yeah.
So, Hillary, can you tell me about a time, maybe when you're in the throes of feeling overwhelmed or stressed out, and you were able to cope or be successful in regaining control? Are there any instances that you can think of that you were able to do that?
Yeah, I think there have been a couple times where I wasn't in total panic mode, but I just felt really stressed out and overwhelmed. And having my youngest daughter with me as a kind of to focus on her, and she was somewhat of a distraction for me. So I wasn't as focused on my own stuff. That seemed to help.
Okay.
I mean, I still noticed those feelings I was having of overwhelm, but at the same time, it wasn't the dominant focus for me.
I'm noticing that you have this sense of, even though maybe the cause is unexplained or it's still a bit confusing, you do have a general awareness of your feelings and of what's going on in the moment. Does that sound right? Do you feel like you have this kind of ability to, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, I'm feeling stressed right now?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that before, but I guess I do. Like, I know when it's happening, that's for sure.
I'm just, from a perspective, the anxiety and the overwhelm and the stress, if we were to kind of unite all of these things together and separate them from you, and kind of frame it in the way of, this is an experience that you have, instead of, this is something that you are. This is, for example, I am anxious, or this personification of really taking on that identity of anxiety, then reframing it to, anxiety happens from time to time. Anxiety can come, or kind of separating it from you. Is that something that makes sense, or you resonate with that all?
Yeah. I'm almost thinking of like a character, like a I can't remember the movie, but they're like Inside Out, I guess.
So if you were to name your anxiety, or give it a like a persona, like a person, and when they come to visit you, identifying that that's separate from your value and your being. Is that something that makes any sense, or you feel like could be helpful?
I'd be willing to give it a shot. I can see where it could be helpful. For some reason, I'm picturing anxiety as this like little blue creature.
Blue creature, yeah. And it sounds like you shared a little bit when you've been able to focus on your kids and maybe their needs. It gets you kind of away from your little blue friend,
right?
In some circumstances, and maybe towards something that feels positive to you. Is there? What can you identify with that? How are you able to do so in those times when you do feel successful? What about those instances feels good to you?
I guess just knowing that I do have the capacity to ignore or put aside my little blue friend.
Yes.
I can be like, hold off. I have my child to deal with.
Yes.
That feels good to know that I can do that.
Yeah.
That I've done it. I'm able to do it.
You've done it. I love that. Yeah. And here you say, you have this awareness and almost separation from your friend in those moments. So I think that's something that moving forward, I think you and we can spend some time chatting about that and maybe digging in a little bit deeper of when, our blue friend arises and some practical ways in which it's helpful to kind of let him take a sidestep. So is that something that sounds like it would be helpful, in future sessions if we were able to continue to create kind of a distance relationship with that and dig into that a little bit more?
Yeah, that sounds like it'd be really helpful.
Great. Well, before we wrap up, I did want to just kind of outline, I think for next time when we meet next week, I'm going to engage in something. It can be called therapeutic letter writing, but I just want to make you aware. I'm going to write you a letter based on our session today. And it'll just be kind of from my perspective what we talked about and kind of some things that you've shared and things that I've been able to reflect on. And I'll just offer that to you for your use as a way to reflect on our experience.
Okay.
And I'd love to hear from you as well if you identify with what I write, because sometimes it can be helpful to see things written down and experience them in that way. So you can expect that from me.
Well, thank you. That'll be nice, and I can reflect on it when I'm having, if I'm having a hard day. I can pull that out. So that would be really helpful.
Wonderful. Well, I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Perfect.